What's going on, everyone? So the Los Angeles Clippers looked absolutely atrocious. They lost to the Lakers. They traded for James Harden, and then they just went on a 6-game losing streak. And then after that 6-game losing streak, panic mode, everyone, oh, did the Clippers make this mistake? Oh no, like, should they have traded for James Harden? Oh, this was the concerns, this was the question marks. And then we saw a little bit, especially with Clipper fans, the narrative change a little bit because the Clippers end up beating the Houston Rockets and they go on a 3-game winning streak. Everyone's like, oh, Clippers, they're back. Here we go. See, look, this is what we're talking about. You know, Rockets were on this win streak. Rockets were looking good. We beat Houston, and that's it. It's over. Oh, now we get to play Wemby. Oh, we smacked the Spurs, who are the worst team in the NBA. And then we get to play them again. Oh, and we smacked the Spurs again, twice. That's it. We back, baby. Houston and then the Spurs. The Clippers are back, baby. And then the Clippers played a half-decent team in the Pelicans. Guess what happened? The Clippers are not back. The Clippers still suck. The Clippers are the team that we thought they would be. And they played the Clippers and got absolutely manhandled, right? I mean, from the jump, they were down 13 after the first quarter and ended up losing by 10, 116 to 106. And all the talk about like, oh, they're back, and just completely ignoring and being as oblivious as possible to the fact of like, hey, they played a Rockets team that started 0-3 that was, yeah, they were looking good. They were on a streak. They were playing well. But now you're kind of seeing again that Houston is just like this middle of the pack team. Although they are coming off of a big win against the Denver Nuggets, like Houston's not a contending team. Like they're a fun team. I enjoy watching them. Right? They have a nice balance of just youth and vets, and like they're gonna win some games. And Houston very well could make a playoffs. Right? Clippers, I don't know. I mean, Clippers looking like a play-in team. If we're being honest, they really are. They're 6-8 after coming off of that 3-game win streak, which they needed desperately. But again, you beat the Spurs twice, and then you beat the Rockets, right? The Rockets are, I'll give you that, fine. If you want that notable win, fine. Rockets, there you go, notable win. Well, now you have a juggernaut of a schedule coming up. You play the Mavericks, the Nuggets, the Kings, the Warriors, and then the Warriors again. Your next 5 games could easily be another 5-game losing streak. If you add the Pelicans, there's another 6-game losing streak. Now you're 6-14. I seriously, and it doesn't get any easier, right? Like, so they end up playing after that stretch. They play the Trailblazers, which they should beat the Trailblazers, but I don't know. But they should beat the Trailblazers. But then you play the Kings, the Warriors, the Knicks, the Pacers, the Mavs, the Thunder, the Celtics. Again, like, dude, the way the Clippers have been playing, they could be like 8-24 in these coming weeks. By the end of December, they could be basically eliminated from the playoffs already. Right? I don't buy the Clippers. Right? Clippers got some great wins against a Spurs team that is terrible, right? They've had some moments. They started half decent, but they're 3-13. Like, seriously, they're 3-13. Like, nobody's looking at the Spurs as a good team. You beat the Spurs by like 30. Great. You should have. Even if you are a bad team, you're supposed to beat the Spurs by 30. Right? You got Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. And guess what? Again, you played the Pelicans, who Pelicans aren't like this great team either. They're 9-7. They're not out here killing it. They're missing CJ McCollum. And the Clippers got absolutely manhandled. Right? Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they did their thing, especially Paul George. Paul George had 34 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. Right? You had Kawhi Leonard, 20 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. But James Harden's out here, 8 points, 1 of 6 from 3, 2 of 8 from the field. He did have 10 assists, which he should with the team like the the Clippers, where you have all these guys that can go get you buckets and shoot. Right? He did. I will give Harden credit. He did have 4 steals, which is good, right? That's what you want, right? Him actually getting something. But outside of that, it's like they're not very good defensively. Right? You don't really have the James Harden effect working in your favor. You're not looking good with James Harden by any stretch. And even the Houston game, right? Again, I'll give you that game, but it literally took a miracle and 1-3 from James Harden. And that, if anything, should have been the moment that was the switch. Especially because it was James Harden. Right? Because the question was, and all the narrative and all the conversation was like, oh, the Clippers, they messed up. They shouldn't have traded for Harden. Harden's not going to work. It just doesn't make sense. There's only one basketball. All of the talk, right? And then James Harden hit that shot. And for a brief moment, it's kind of like, okay, maybe this will work out, right? Oh, James Harden. And then we just saw it. No, it's not. We're right back to it. As soon as we played a half-decent team, that's it. It's over. And I shouldn't even say we, because I'm not a Clipper fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I just don't see them turning this around. I don't think they're a very good team. I think you're going to end up getting to the trade deadline, and you're going to end up having to trade Paul George or Kawhi Leonard. And if you don't, they're probably leaving. Right? So you might as well get something for that, or you're probably going to have to trade at least one of them. The only way I see the Clippers genuinely working is if A, you trade Kawhi Leonard to Paul George, or B, and again, I never want to see something like this happen, but Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, one of them, not both of them, but one of them ends up missing some significant time. That's the only way I see it working. Again, I don't want to see that happen with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and it's great that they've been healthy thus far, but, they're going to miss some games, and I fully believe that whenever Paul George or Kawhi Leonard, one of those two, end up missing any type of significant time, I think all of a sudden the Clippers are going to be pretty good. And I think that, James Harden will be kind of back to James Harden, and he'll have those games where he gives you 25 and 10 and maybe even has like a 30, 35 point game, something like that. And Paul George is out here but combining with James Harden for 70 or something like that. Like, I could see that happening. But as long as they have James Harden, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Russell Westbrook, who even Russ, he only played 14 minutes. He was 1 of 8 from the field. Right? I don't think Russell Westbrook is going to have an impact anymore. I think you completely neutralized him, which I think was silly because it was working with him. They were actually a pretty good team before they traded for James Harden, right? I don't think James Harden was the move. I think it was just so silly to go and make the trade for James Harden. And I get it. You're about to have a new arena, and you're about, you want the star power and all that stuff. But you still have to win games. If you're a play-in team or miss the play-in entirely, which isn't that far-fetched, the way the Clippers are playing, that's not really that crazy, right? Like, if that ends up happening, no one's going to care that you have a new arena and you have James Harden, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard. No one's going to care because you guys aren't winning. Like, it's great to have star power, but you have to win. If you're not winning games, no one's going to care about the names on the jersey. Yes, they care about the names on the jersey when you're winning. Because it's like, oh man, yeah, we're a contender. That's it. We got James Harden, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. Like, they're cruising. They're killing it. Like, that's when people are excited. That's when you get the buzz. That's when you get butts and seats and stuff like that. But when you're terrible and it's like you can't beat anybody but the Spurs, nobody's going to show up. No one's going to care. Right? And I also just think they're going to end up getting to the trade deadline. Kawhi Leonard or Paul George are going to end up having to be traded. Right? I mean, there's already murmurs and talk that Kawhi is unhappy and wants out. Right? Like, he's not going to re-sign. He's not going to sign a new extension. Paul George, I don't see him re-signing, signing a new extension. Like, you're going to end up having to trade one of them. Personally, I think you should trade Kawhi Leonard. Because one, I think just because of the name, I think you would get more for him than Paul George. But 2, I think Paul George is the current better player, right? Like Paul George is the better difficulty shot maker. He's more willing to sacrifice. He's been the better defender, right? So I personally, if I was the Clippers, I would trade Kawhi Leonard because I think a team would, just based on the name of Kawhi Leonard and his history, I think there's a team out there that you could probably kind of trick into giving you selling the farm to go get Kawhi, right? And now you got Paul George, James Harden, a bunch of depth, right? Russell Westbrook coming off the bench. Like, I think that may make more sense. But regardless, I don't see a scenario where they're going to be able to keep all these guys and have success and win anything important, anything significant. I just don't. Maybe they figure it out. Maybe they right the ship, right? Maybe they go on some great streak, and win 6-7 games against notable teams and stuff. The only thing that they've shown is that they can beat the Spurs, and if James Harden gets fouled on a 3-point attempt at the end of the game, they can beat the Houston Rockets. Right? Like, you go and play the Pelicans team at home, by the way. You're in your home arena and just got smacked. Basically start to finish. Right? I mean, you made a little push there to go into halftime. Right? But then after that, it was just like, you lost 3 out of 4 quarters. And you lost the game by 10. Right? And even if you watched that game, like, it didn't feel like they were realistically going to win. Right? I don't know. I don't buy the Clippers. But those are my thoughts and opinions. And as always, I pass the question on to you. Let me know yours down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Do you think like Clippers are back? do you think that they're any good? Do you think like they're terrible? Do you think that they're gonna have to trade somebody? And if so, who would you trade? Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, which one? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.